Hi, I'm Jerry the Snake Man, and today on this episode of Snake Clips, we're going to be talking about king snakes. King snakes to me are some of the most awesome snakes you're going to find. They're located in America, and they're not really found all around the world, so they're kind of like our homeboys. So stay tuned and watch and learn about some of the king snakes that I have. We're starting off with this king snake here, which is a California king snake. King snakes generally are very good eaters. You normally don't have any problems with them. I like to keep my king snakes at a temperature between 70 to 80 degrees. Normally in the summertime they'll be higher up than the 80-degree mark, and during the winter time when it cools out a little bit, they'll be generally in the 70, 72, 74 area. King snakes are very popular snakes for the simple fact is they have beautiful coloration, marking, and patterns. They come in all different colors and patterns. Some are striped, some are blotched like this one is. This is a beautiful California king snake. I've had this snake here since he was a baby. He is actually about 5 years old. As you can see, they don't get overly large. As far as snakes goes, they normally get between the 3 to 4 foot range. Typically, if they're not hungry, they're very docile snakes. But the one thing king snakes do is they do eat other snakes. So it's hard to hold a king snake and not smell like snake food because you're going to smell like him. So I call the king snakes sometimes sneaky biters because they don't necessarily strike at you. A lot of times you'll be holding them like this. They will start smelling, pushing their nose on your arm, and when they do that, I normally pull him away because usually that's when he'll just open his mouth up and latch on. I think, though, these are probably one of the best beginner snakes that you are going to find because the fact is you really never have any issues with them eating. This is a baby Brooks king snake, and as you can see, actually is more of a juvenile, but they do have beautiful colorations. Brook king snakes are found more down toward Florida. They're more of a Floridian type of snake. They're very beautiful, and the difference with these and the Florida king snakes basically is that the Brooks have some nice red coloration in them. And as you can see, he's a little bit jumpy as being a baby. A lot of times babies can be very nippy. They'll strike at you. But with their little teeth, these guys can't penetrate your skin. So even if they were to latch on to you, it doesn't hurt. You don't feel anything. The other thing they'll let you know, though, is if they're afraid and you're aggravating them, is they will shake their tail very violently. And this is an indication that he's probably going to try to bite you. Right now, this little guy, he's just flicking his tongue out. He's just curious as to what's going on. I actually just fed him, so he's got a full stomach. So I really don't want to do a lot of handling with him. I don't want him to throw up his food. And after you've fed a snake, you usually want to let them rest for 2 days so that they can digest their food. Otherwise, they may regurgitate. This also is a California king snake. He has the red eyes because he's an albino. He's got no markings on him whatsoever. What's kind of neat is he's actually almost see-through. If you hold him up to the lights, you can see right through him. You can see his organs, and you can see if he has a full belly. One of the things they'll also do is if they get aggravated with you is they'll go to the bathroom on you. As far as shaking his tail goes, he will do that as well, letting you know he's frustrated and aggravated with you. This particular little guy was actually a rescue from a principal who bought this for her school, but every time she tried picking it up, it was very aggressive and would bite at her. She really didn't realize that this behavior, as you can see, would go away once you handled the snake a little bit. Once he got used to you, he'll stop that biting, he'll stop that going to the bathroom on you. But what I think is cool is this is a nice, pure, unmarked white type of snake. And in a minute I'm going to show you just the opposite. And this here is a Mexican black king snake. These guys are really cool. They're usually solid black with no markings on them whatsoever. They contrast very nicely to that albino California king snake. This also was a rescue adoption from the same principal. She bought both of these thinking the color difference would look really cool. She gave me this one because this guy, every time she picked him up, would go to the bathroom on her, and she decided that she didn't want a snake that went to the bathroom constantly. But again, with the handling and everything, this guy has stopped going to the bathroom every time you pick him up. What he was doing, though, when I went to get him out of the container, he was doing that tail rattle, and he was shaking his tail very violently, letting me know, okay, I really don't want to be picked up. But when I reached down, I picked him up, he stopped the tail rattling, he didn't strike at me, and he's used to me now, so he doesn't go to the bathroom on me anymore either. These guys are very beautiful snakes. I love the solid jet black coloration that they have. This is a Florida king snake. Now, Florida king snakes are some of the largest king snakes that you will find. Generally, as I said before, the California king snakes will get in the range of about 3, possibly 4 feet. The Florida king snakes, they'll get into a larger range, about 4 to 6 feet. King snakes are snakes that can actually eat other snakes. What these guys do in Florida is these guys are actually, one of their favorite meals are the baby rattlesnakes. They're unique in the fact that if they get bit by a rattlesnake, the venom will not affect them in the least. So rattlesnakes will run from these snakes because they know they really have no defense whatsoever if this snake decides to make a meal of him. As you can see, when the snake is full, he's not trying to bite at me. But if they are hungry, king snakes are very ferocious eaters normally, and that's when a beginner will get bit when handling a king snake, is when he goes to feed him. They strike very quickly, as you saw in one of the videos I have here. You'll watch a Brooks king snake and you'll see how quickly he strikes and wraps his prey up. But like I said, this guy, he's full, so he has no reason to want to try to bite or hurt me. Okay, this is a Brooks king snake, and I love king snakes for the simple fact is that they're usually terrific eaters. This guy especially, he goes like really crazy here when I show him a mouse. He'll usually wrap it up pretty good so fast, and let's see if he'll do it here for us today. Get him the idea. Once he smells that boy, he'll just go nuts. There he goes. Look at him. There he goes. He's got it wrapped up. He is so awesome. I use this guy as my garbage can. He will eat just about anything as much as you want to give him. And this is a speckled king snake, and he's a very beautiful coloration. I love the markings and the patterns that he has on him. King snakes are found mostly in the United States, in the Americas. You will find the king over by Mexico and that area down there. But pretty much these guys, similar to like the rattlesnakes, are really just native to the Americas, and I love that fact that these are like our homeboys. These are the snakes that we have that other countries don't, and I think that's so terrific because, again, of their docile nature, they're beautiful snakes, they're easy to keep, they can range in, you can keep them in low temperatures, they don't have to have, 85, 90 degree temperature like the exotic snakes, and they do come in such colors and patterns that these snakes are just, to my opinion, the best snakes that you are going to find for a beginner and for your experienced keepers. And this snake here, we call this a common king snake, or some people call it a 50-50 king snake. And one of the things about this snake that I like is that it's black and white banded, and it does have a purpose in its banding and its colorations. But when we ask some children, we says, well, how would this coloration help this snake hide? One of the children says, well, if it was on a piano, it would disappear. And as you can see here, that's kind of true. It blends right in with the keys with the black and white banding. But actually, this markings, they work the same way as zebra stripes do. And that is, when the snake is actually in motion, this will cause the snake to become blurry to the predator that's looking to get it. But when it's holding still, obviously it doesn't camouflage. But if it were to hang out on a keyboard, as you can see, it camouflages very nicely. The snake kind of disappears. And the last snake I have for you today, this is actually not truly a king snake. This is what's called a jungle corn. And the jungle corn is a cross between a king snake and a corn snake. Now this guy is a little jumpy and he moves around really fast because he's actually blind. It has nothing to do with the fact that he's what's called a hybrid. Somehow he lost his eyesight. But he does adapt extremely well. He uses his tongue to smell his prey. He will eat with no problem whatsoever. I really don't know if this guy would eat snakes. I never try to offer him any, if his king snake side or his corn snake side would take over. I'm not a big fan of hybrids. I like what's out in nature. I like what God has designed and made, but there is in fact man-made, crossbred snakes that normally you wouldn't find in the wild. But there are hybrid snakes that do occur in the wild. Such as down in the Amazon, you have the Amazon tree boas that will mate with the emerald tree boas, and they create a hybrid type of snake. But again, this guy, he does eat even though he's blind. He's a little jumpy and jittery, obviously, when you first go to get him, because he's not sure what's going on. But he does settle down, as you can see. He'll trust you. He flicks his tongue out a lot because that's his primary sense of knowing what's going on, being he no longer has his eyesight. This was also a rescued snake from a gentleman who no longer wanted to keep snakes, and I decided that this guy here, he would be best kept in my collection. Even though he's not really a special needs snake, he does eat frozen thawed. Once you put it in front of his face, he flicks his tongue out, realizes what it is, he'll grab it right from you with no problem.